I'm Dana Denta, and you're watching FYI. Some music just sticks with you. It transcends time and creates a new generation of adoring fans. There's one man that will forever have a legion of followers all over the world.
Are you lonesome tonight? Do you miss me tonight? Are you sorry we drifted apart?
Music lovers took a ride through history to see the many faces of the king.
Today is the 20th anniversary of the Michigan Elvisfest.
The variety of performers and what's special about it, most of the performers here don't just perform a tribute to Elvis. They perform a tribute to somebody else, like myself. I'm doing Johnny Cash here in just a few minutes. Elvis is tonight.
We've got 9 tribute artists for you.
You're going to see the 50s. You're going to see the movie years. You're also going to do his concert years, which he came with the 68 comeback special. Also, you're going to see him in different jumpsuits.
Elvis bit me with the bug very, very early in life, and just been a huge fan, and I'm just lucky to be able to do what I do, bring back some of those memories, you know. I would say the 1969, 1970 early Vegas era is probably my favorite. I feel like Elvis was happiest at that moment. It was something new and exciting. The music was, he was getting a lot of new material, a lot of changes. Everything got bigger. Just getting into the jumpsuits, he was slim and trim, you know, and looked so good, you know.
I always say that Elvis music is like soul food. It's good for your soul.
Thank you. Thank you very much, John.
Stay tuned, and we'll be back shortly with more news and information. Last week, we watched as library patrons created their own Taiwanese puppet characters, as the AADL geared up for a one-of-a-kind puppet show from the famed Yiwan Puppet Theater. Check it out. As part of the continuing Taiwan Cultural Festival, puppets took center stage to share the tale of Wu Song.
It's a Taiwanese puppet show. If you're coming here, you are coming here for a treat. We are going to have one of the best performer group from Taiwan, Yiwan Glove Puppet Theater, coming to play Wu Song Fights a Tiger.
The show follows Wu Song as he refuses the warnings of fellow travelers.
Wu Song Fights a Tiger is based upon a story where Wu Song, a gentleman, he sat down and started eating the food. And of course, when guys eat, you gotta have a little drink, right? So he kept drinking and eating a lot of food, and after all, he's really halfway drunk. And unfortunately, he just went through this alley and happened to pass these Jinyang Hills, where we see a lot of people that come to him and say, oh, don't go there because there's a huge tiger. When tiger shows up, and he and the tiger having a great time fighting each other.
It amazes me how believable it is when you see a puppet on stage and you hear a voice, and you just believe that the puppet is talking. It's a strange thing that happens. It's one of those magical things about theater, I think.
Here in Michigan, we love good eats on the grill and a warm campfire. But before you ignite those flames, there's some need-to-know safety info. Learn more in this month's City Roundup in 60.
Hi, my name is Mike Kennedy. I'm the fire chief for the Ann Arbor Fire Department, here today to talk about fire safety. We have a lot of information on the city website, a2gov.org/fire, for both grilling safety along with outdoor fireplace safety. For grilling safety, we recommend keeping grills at least 10 feet away from a structure. If you have hot coals, never throw them into the trash. That can cause a fire. And for outdoor fire safety, you can't have campfires in the city of Ann Arbor. They have to be 25 feet from a structure. You are also allowed to have portable fireplaces. Those have to be 15 feet from a structure. You need to make sure that they're tended at all times and they're completely extinguished before you leave. There's some additional guidance and requirements that are available on the city website. Please go there, check it out. If you have any other questions, please let us know. We're happy to answer.
As the future takes hold and time changes, it becomes harder and harder to understand the pressures our kids feel on a regular basis. More children and teens are coping with anxiety, and there is help. Joining me is Dr. Aimee Kotrba, owner of Thriving Minds. Welcome to the show, Aimee.
Thanks so much for having me.
Can you tell me a little bit about your background and what led you towards like the teen children anxiety angle?
I got my PhD at Wayne State in Detroit and then opened a private practice just myself in 2007. I actually came out of graduate school intending to work with kids with autism, but I sort of serendipitously fell into working with kids with selective mutism, which is a really specific kind of childhood anxiety. And I just really liked working with the families. The kids are fun and creative and smart and interesting, and the parents are usually desperate to figure out how to help their kids. And so I've since very much focused on treating anxiety instead.
And so the one you're talking about is sort of a genetic, you're born with that, or?
Yeah, so anxiety can come either from neurological reasons, so there are parts of our brain that predispose us to having anxiety. There's a genetic piece to it. It does run in families. And then we know it's modeled. You know, it can be modeled by parents, it can be modeled by peers or siblings. So it's usually a mix of those three.
Can you tell us a little bit about Thriving Minds and what kind of services people can get there?
Yeah. So I opened Thriving Minds about 7 years ago. And right now there's 2 locations. There's one in Chelsea and one in Brighton. And between the 2, I have 16 therapists that work for me. And we use something called cognitive behavioral therapy, which is the research-based intervention for kids and teens and adults with anxiety. So we see all ages. In Brighton, we only see kids and adolescents. In Chelsea, we also see adults there. And we see anxiety, we see other kinds of disorders, and we see ADHD and behavioral issues and depression, but anxiety definitely tends to be the most frequent reason that people come into our clinic.
How big of an issue is it at this point? Do you have stats on it or just?
I mean, I would say it's an epidemic at this point. About 1 in 8 kids and teenagers would be diagnosed at any moment with an anxiety disorder. Unfortunately, only about 80% of those kids actually get treatment. So there's a number of kids who are not getting treatment of any kind.
Is it because like you don't necessarily know what's wrong, or like you don't see symptoms of it? Or it's internalized?
I think that some of it is that people don't see the symptoms of it. Some of it is that kids with anxiety are not squeaky wheels, right? They tend to be really well behaved. They tend to be really smart and do well in school. And then I think that there's probably some access to service issues, that parents don't know where to go for effective treatment, or don't know how to access services at all. And then I think schools sometimes don't recognize it because those aren't the kids that are standing out in the classroom.
And you see it more so in teens than children?
You see a mix in both. So statistically, kids are about as statistically likely to have anxiety as teens are. The difference that you really see between the two are kids are more likely to have generalized anxiety disorder. So those are just the general worriers. They worry about a little bit of everything. Teenagers are much more likely to have social anxiety. So performance fears, concerns about how their peers view them. That's much more common in teenagers.
So let's say I'm a parent of a teen, and what maybe would be some of the symptoms that you would notice as a parent?
I think in both teenagers and in kids, one of the first things that parents notice is the physical symptoms. Kids with anxiety are more likely to complain of headaches. Stomach aches are a huge issue with kids with anxiety. They tend to have sleep problems, really tense muscles, so their backs will be sore. They'll complain of racing heart. They'll voice a lot of worries, a lot of unhelpful thoughts. It's normal to be worried about things, but these are worries that don't go anywhere. They just continue to perpetuate and repeat. And I think the number one thing that parents tend to see is avoidance. So avoidance is, we say avoidance fuels the fire of anxiety. Kids get anxious about something and they do what we all do when we're anxious, which is they try to get out of it, right? They try to avoid what they're afraid of. And parents might notice that in terms of not wanting to go to school, not wanting to go to extracurricular activities, not wanting to be involved socially anymore. These kids kind of pull back from life to some degree.
And why do you feel like it's an epidemic now in 2019?
That's a good question. I think that there's so many facets that we could blame as a part of it. I think if I had to break it down, it's two main things. I think that we tend to overprotect our kids, and then I think we tend to overpressure our kids. Overprotection, I think that we tend to step in and rescue kids much too quickly. You know, when they feel discomfort, we feel discomfort, and so we try to step in and we make it easier, or we tell them they don't have to worry about doing that, or we protect them in some way. What that accidentally does, though, is it teaches the child first that they don't have the wherewithal to do what they're afraid of doing. It does not build confidence. And secondly, it teaches them that next time this happens, I need somebody to do it for me, or I need to just figure out a way to not do it. And then the overpressure piece, you know, social media plays such a huge role, especially in teenagers' lives, and it perpetuates this idea of perfection that's completely unattainable, completely unreasonable, but it's in their face all the time. And so they believe that they need to try to attain this perfection, whether it's by overstudying or checking their appearance all the time or being a social butterfly, and they're inevitably going to fail because nobody's perfect, and that leads, I think, to anxiety as well.
Are there solutions that you can do sort of at home, or like if you notice these signs, should you reach out for help from a medical professional?
Well, I always encourage parents to reach out to a psychologist if they're concerned about anxiety, because we know with research that anxiety is really very treatable. There's a lot of research showing that cognitive behavioral therapy can effectively treat about 80% of kids who come into treatment. And so things that we would do with the cognitive behavioral therapy are things that parents can do at home. One of them is teaching kids how to identify their thoughts and emotions. So teaching them about anxiety and what it is, and when they feel it, how to notice it. We teach them about their brain. There's a part of our brain called the amygdala, and it's sort of like the guard dog of our brain. And its only job is to protect us. And so it does that really, really well. Its job is not to make us happy or help us to try new things. Its only job is to protect us. And so when it thinks that we're in any kind of danger, it alerts us that we're in imminent danger, and we react to it. Right? That's when we get those physical symptoms that we have. And for kids with anxiety, their amygdala is really overreactive. So part of our job as parents or as psychologists is to teach them that that might be a false alarm. When you feel anxious, it doesn't mean that you're in imminent danger. What it is a false alarm. And if we know that it's a false alarm, and we can even predict, like, I'm going to have a false alarm today when I go to soccer, then we have more power over it. We can ignore it. We don't have to act upon it. So that's a piece of it. Then the other part that parents and psychologists can do is really having kids experience the discomfort of anxiety. It makes sense that the only way that we can get over fears is to face them. And so our job as psychologists is to kind of in small little doses help a child experience the anxiety in a way that's reasonable for them, of course. And it teaches them, sort of like whenever we face a fear, usually you come out the other side going, it really wasn't that bad. I can handle that, and it builds confidence for them.
So a lot of it is just training the brain to be like, okay, you're going to feel these things. And I think like all of us in some times in our lives feel anxiety.
Absolutely.
But it's dependent on how you're going to let that anxiety, you're going to tackle it. So like I know I feel anxiety here and there, but it's not a regular basis. I don't feel it on a regular basis, but I know when I feel it, I'm telling myself like, it's fine. Just,
go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of the key to it, is just training them to be like, it's okay.
Yes.
You can get past this.
Yeah, we talk about teaching kids to be comfortable with discomfort. That's one of the best things that you can do for your child because it helps build confidence, it helps build grit. We're both going to be uncomfortable at times in our life, and that's going to happen for the rest of our lives. But if we can teach kids that when I feel uncomfortable, I can do it anyway, it's really empowering for them.
And so before we go, are there any resources out there?
Yeah, I have to point out our clinic. I think that we have fantastic therapists there who can be really effective in helping kids. We do a lot of parent training at our clinic because we want parents to model what we want the kids to feel. You know, if you're in an airplane and you feel some turbulence, you always look first to the flight attendant. And if the flight attendant looks calm, everything's okay. If the flight attendant looks panicked, I'm pretty sure I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And kids do the same things. They're looking to their parents to try to figure out if this is a situation where they're in danger or if everything's okay. And so we try to teach parents how to remain calm on the outside, no matter how they're feeling inside, remaining calm and on the outside, because it really shows the kids everything's okay out here. We're okay. There's some books that I really enjoy. One of them is a book series called the What to Do book series, and they have a bunch of different ones. There's what to do when you worry too much, what to do when your brain gets stuck. There's one about perfectionism. There's a lot of them, but they're really cute workbooks for kids kind of 7 to 13 years old that walk you through how to identify anxiety, how to control your thoughts when it comes to anxiety, how to practice being brave. And my favorite book for parents is one called Anxious Kids, Anxious Parents. It's by Reed Wilson, and it's just a really good book on the vast influence that parents have on helping their kids to be brave. It's an empowering book.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
For more on this and other programs, visit a2gov.org/CTN. Visit youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor to see all that CTN has to offer. And remember to like, comment, and share. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time to FYI.